Hey everyone, welcome back to Hidden Gold Hunter. Today we're going deep into one of the most overlooked coins in American history. The 1923 Lincoln wheat penny may look like an old, worn piece of copper, but the truth is, some of these tiny coins have sold for thousands of dollars. Many people have them sitting in drawers or jars, not realizing what they're holding. Stay with me, because in this video, I'll show you what makes this old penny so valuable, and how to spot one that could change your collection forever. Let's get started. The Lincoln wheat penny began in 1909 to honor Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday. It replaced the Indian head cent and became the first U.S. coin to feature a real person. Designed by Victor David Brenner, it has a strong, simple look that collectors still love today. On the front, Lincoln faces right, with liberty to the left, the date to the right, and in God we trust above. The reverse shows two wheat stalks curving around the words 1 cent and United States of America, with E pluribus unum on top. That's why collectors call it the wheat penny. Now, the 1923 penny was struck in two places, Philadelphia and San Francisco. The Philadelphia version has no mint mark. The San Francisco coin carries a small S below the date, and that's the one you really want to look for. Philadelphia made about 74 million coins, while San Francisco struck just 8.7 million. That lower number makes the 1923 S one of the scarcer issues in the wheat penny series, and collectors pay strong premiums for clean, original examples. Let's talk about value. Most 1923 pennies are old and worn. If yours is heavily circulated, it's usually worth between 20 and 50 cents. But even those old brown ones have collector interest because they are over a century old now. In fine condition, values rise to about $2 to $5. Very fine examples with clear details can reach $10 to $20. Once you move into extremely fine and higher, the price begins to climb. Uncirculated Philadelphia coins in bright red color can bring $50 to $200. For the San Francisco version, things get serious. A 1923 S in average circulated condition sells for $5 to $25. In better shape, such as extremely fine, it can reach $75 to $150. Mint state coins are rare and valuable. In MS-63 brown, you're looking at $200 to $300. Red-brown examples in MS-65 are worth around $800. Full red coins in top mint condition have sold for more than $3,000, and some graded MS-66 by PCGS have crossed the $5,000 mark at auction. That's real money for a 1-cent coin. So, what makes these values possible? It comes down to three things: rarity, condition, and demand. The 1923 S is the standout because it's hard to find well-struck and fully preserved. Many coins from San Francisco were made with worn dies, which means the details on Lincoln's face and the wheat lines on the reverse often look soft. Finding one that's sharp and glossy is like finding gold in your pocket. Now, let's talk about the coins most people already have, the old and worn ones. Even if your 1923 penny looks dull, don't throw it away. Every coin from this era tells part of America's story. These coins circulated through the 1920s, a time of recovery after World War I. They passed through the hands of people working in factories, on farms, and in cities during a changing America. Each coin has seen history firsthand. For collectors, even a low-grade example can hold sentimental and historical value. Some people build complete wheat penny sets with every year and mint mark, and they still need those old brown coins to fill the gaps. When you check your penny, use a magnifying glass. Look at the mint mark below the date. If it has an S, it's from San Francisco. If there's no mint mark, it's from Philadelphia. Check for strong lines in Lincoln's hair and beard. Look for clear detail in the wheat ears on the back. These signs show whether your coin is lightly or heavily worn. The more detail you see, the more valuable it can be. Also, there are a few rare die varieties worth noting. Some 1923 pennies show light doubling in the date, or the letters of liberty. These are double die varieties. They can raise the value from a few dollars to several hundred, depending on clarity and grade. Always check under bright light. Another sign to watch for is the color. Collectors grade pennies as brown, red-brown, or red. A coin that still shows full red color is far more valuable. If you own one of these pennies, protect it. Don't clean it or polish it, because that destroys the natural surface. Store it in a coin flip, capsule, or album away from heat and moisture. Original patina adds authenticity and helps maintain its collector appeal. The 1923 Lincoln Week penny may not be shiny, but it's a real piece of history. It marks a century of circulation and connection to America's past. The 1923 Lincoln Wheat penny may not be shiny, but it's a real piece of history. It marks a century of circulation and connection to America's past. Whether yours is old and worn or still bright with color, it deserves a place in your collection. And who knows, that old penny you thought was worthless could be one of the few rare ones worth thousands. So, before you spend that coin or toss it aside, take one last look. The tiniest details can make the biggest difference. The next treasure might already be in your hand. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to Hidden Gold Hunter and turn on the bell icon. Comment below if you have a 1923 penny or if you've ever found a rare weak penny in your change. Thanks for watching, and keep hunting your hidden treasures, because the next one could be hiding in plain sight. The 1955 off-center Lincoln penny is one of the most fascinating mint-era coins that collectors love to chase. It is not rare because of its year, but because of how it was struck. When a coin gets struck off-center, part of its design is missing, making it instantly unique. And the more off-center it is, the higher the value goes. Some examples have sold for thousands of dollars, depending on how dramatic the error is and how well the date is visible. Let's talk about it in detail. This penny was struck at the Philadelphia Mint in 1955, a time when the U.S. Mint produced hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents. Most of them looked ordinary, but a few coins were struck off-center when the blank planchette didn't sit correctly between the dies. This misalignment caused Abraham Lincoln's face, or parts of the lettering, to shift away from the center, creating an off-balance, imperfect design that became a collectible treasure. In most cases, a minor off-center strike of about 5% to 10% doesn't bring much premium. You can find those for around $5 to $20. But when the off-center strike reaches 25%, 50%, or even more, the price jumps sharply. A 1955 penny struck 50% off-center, with the full date showing, can easily sell between $250 and $500. Exceptional examples, with strong detail and uncirculated surfaces, have crossed $1,000 in auctions. The key to value lies in two things: visibility of the date and amount of design missing. If the date is visible and the error is major, collectors compete heavily for it. If the date is missing or too light, the value drops. Another thing that adds value is the coin's condition. Old and circulated off-center pennies are worth something, but those kept in mint state condition command much higher prices. Even if your 1955 off-center penny looks old, do not clean it. Cleaning can scratch the surface and cut its value in half. Leave it as it is. Collectors prefer natural, aged tones on these coins. The coin's metal composition also matters. The 1955 Lincoln penny is made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. Because it's from before 1982, its copper content alone gives it a small base value, but the error is what makes it valuable. Collectors often look for off-center coins from famous years like 1955, because that was also the year of the famous double die penny. While this off-center penny is not the same coin, the 1955 date adds to its historical importance and collector interest. If you find one, make sure to check how much of the design is missing. Measure the strike percentage and check if the full date is visible. Take clear photos and show both sides to any coin dealer or submit it for grading to get an official certification. Graded examples from companies like PCGS or NGC can sell for hundreds or even thousands, depending on their strike percentage and condition. For example, a 1955 penny struck 70% off center with full date visible, sold for around $1,800 in a major coin auction. That's the power of rarity combined with condition. In short, your 1955 off-center penny could be a hidden gem. Even if it looks old or dark, don't ignore it. Errors like this are one of a kind. Each off-center strike is different, which means no two coins look exactly alike. That uniqueness is what collectors pay big money for. So, before you think it's just another old penny, take a closer look. The off-center error may turn your ordinary-looking 1955 Lincoln cent into a valuable piece worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Always remember, in the world of coin collecting, perfection isn't the only thing that matters. Sometimes, a mint's mistake can make your coin far more valuable than anyone could imagine. The 1931 Lincoln penny is one of the most respected old cents in American coin history. It comes from a time when the United States was deep in the Great Depression, a period when the mint made far fewer coins than usual. Because of that, the 1931 penny became one of the scarcer Lincoln cents, especially in good condition. Even in old, worn shape, it can still bring strong collector value today. Let's go deeper into it. The 1931 Lincoln penny was struck at 3 mints: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, D; and San Francisco, S. Among these, the 1931 S penny is the real standout. The San Francisco mint struck only about 866,000 of them, making it one of the lowest mintages of all Lincoln cents in circulation. That low number gives it strong collector demand even after nearly a century. If your penny is from Philadelphia or Denver, it's more common, but still collectible because of its age and copper content. If it has an S mint mark under the date, it becomes far more valuable. Here's how the value breaks down. A 1931 S penny in old circulated condition, with heavy wear and dark tone, can still sell for around $70 to $120. If the details are sharper and the coin is lightly worn, prices rise to $200 or more. In mint state condition, meaning no wear and clean surfaces, the 1931 S can bring between $1,000 and $2,500. High-grade examples certified by PCGS or NGC have sold for over $4,000 at major auctions. The 1931 D and 1931 Philadelphia are less rare. Old worn pieces usually sell between $1 and $5, while better examples can bring $20 to $50. Still, because of the historical background, collectors want these coins to complete their early Lincoln sets. The metal composition of this penny is 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, like most early wheat cents. Over the decades, many have developed dark brown or reddish tones. This is natural oxidation and should never be cleaned off. Cleaning removes the original surface and destroys the coin's collector value. If your 1931 penny looks very old, scratched, or worn smooth, it still has value as an antique coin. Collectors respect genuine age, especially from pre-World War II periods. The design, featuring Abraham Lincoln on the front and wheat ears on the back, has deep historical meaning. It was designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909, and by 1931, it had already become a symbol of American endurance through tough times. The rarity of the 1931 S penny also reflects the economic hardship of that year. People weren't spending much money, and the mint didn't need to make as many coins. That's why the mintage stayed so low. Ironically, some of these pennies sat in storage for years before entering circulation, which helped some remain in good shape. If you want to check your coin's mint mark, look just below the date. If there's an S, keep it safe. That's the valuable one. If there's a D, it's from Denver. Still collectible, but less rare. If there's no letter, it's from Philadelphia. Common, but still interesting due to age. For collectors, even a heavily circulated 1931 S penny is worth holding on to. Old condition does not make it worthless. In fact, many collectors love the natural wear because it shows the coin's true journey through history. A few examples of prices seen in the market. A 1931 S penny, graded VG8, heavily worn, sold for $85. A fine 12 example brought around $130. An uncirculated MS65 red sold for more than $2,000. So if you have a 1931 penny that looks dark, scratched, or old, do not ignore it. Age alone gives it significance, and collectors will always be interested in early Lincoln wheat cents. Your old 1931 penny could be more than just a piece of copper. It's a small part of American history, struck during a time of hardship, now valued for its survival. Keep it safe, store it properly, and you may hold a century-old treasure that still carries strong demand today. The 1909 Lincoln penny is more than just an old coin. It marks the beginning of one of the longest-running coin series in American history. It's the very first Lincoln cent, released to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Collectors around the world chase it because it started a new era in U.S. coin design, replacing the Indian head cent that came before it. If you have one, especially in old condition, you could be holding a valuable piece of American history. In 1909, the United States Mint produced two main types of Lincoln cents, the 1909 and the 1909 VDB. The VDB stands for Victor David Brenner, the artist who designed the coin. His initials appear on the bottom of the reverse side between the two wheat stalks. This small detail caused controversy at the time, and that story alone makes the 1909 penny one of the most talked about coins in U.S. history. Let's go back to that moment in 1909. The Mint wanted to create a coin that celebrated Abraham Lincoln's legacy. Brenner's design was approved, featuring Lincoln's profile on the front and two wheat stalks on the back, symbolizing prosperity. But when the coins came out, people quickly noticed the initials VDB on the reverse. Some critics thought the designer's name was too prominent, so the Mint decided to remove the initials soon after production began. That short window created a rare variety, the 1909 VDB penny. Here's where things get interesting. The 1909 penny was struck at two mints, Philadelphia, no mint mark, and San Francisco, marked with an S. The 1909 VDB from Philadelphia is collectible and often worth between $15 and $50 in old circulated condition. The 1909 SVDB from San Francisco is the true key coin. Only about 484,000 were made before production stopped. Even in heavily worn shape, this coin can bring $800 to $1,200. In higher grades, prices can rise above $2,500, and in mint state condition, certified examples have sold for over $5,000. Even the regular 1909S, without VDB, holds solid value. Old, circulated examples usually sell for $100 to $200, while mint state coins can reach $700 or more. The Philadelphia 1909 without VDB is more common, but still desirable because it represents the first year of the Lincoln cent series. Now, about condition. Many 1909 pennies look dark, worn, and heavily circulated. That doesn't mean they're worthless. Collectors understand these coins are over a century old. Even if yours shows flat details and scratches, it still has historical importance. Cleaning it would destroy its surface, so never polish or wash it. Natural patina and age give the coin authenticity and value. The 1909 penny's composition is 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, giving it that deep red-brown color that changes with time. A bright red coin with full mint luster is rare and valuable, while darker brown examples are more common but still collectible. The obverse shows Lincoln's portrait facing right, designed with strong realism. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person's face, breaking a long tradition of using symbolic figures. The reverse design, with two wheat ears surrounding the words 1 cent, gives the coin its nickname, the wheat penny. Collectors love the 1909 penny because it combines rarity, history, and national symbolism. It's also the gateway coin for new collectors. Almost every coin collection starts with a 1909 Lincoln cent because it connects people directly to history. Here's how the values typically break down. 1909, Philadelphia. $2 to $20 in circulated condition, 50 to 200 in mint state. 1909, VDB Philadelphia. 15 to 50 in circulated, 100 to 300 in mint state. 1909S, 100 to 250 in circulated, 400 to 700 in mint state. 1909 SVDB, 800 to 1,500 in circulated, 2,000 to 5,000 plus in mint state. Some rare high-grade red examples graded by PCGS or NGC have sold for more than $10,000. If you ever find a 1909 penny, especially one with the VDB initials or an S mint mark, handle it carefully. Use cotton gloves or hold it by the edges. Store it in a protective coin flip or holder away from humidity. These coins are already over 115 years old, and their value will continue to rise as fewer remain in good condition. Collectors and historians both admire the 1909 penny for its beauty and meaning. It symbolizes the beginning of modern U.S. coinage, the nation's respect for Lincoln, and the artistic craftsmanship of early 20th century America. So, the next time you come across an old, dark penny in a drawer or coin jar, don't rush to spend it. Check the date, look for the VDB, and see if there's an S under it. That small detail could make all the difference. Your 1909 penny might not just be old copper. It could be a rare link to the first year of one of America's most iconic coins, a coin that turned a century of history into a collector's dream and continues to shine today as a symbol of lasting value and The 1922 Lincoln penny is one of the most mysterious and fascinating coins in American history. It looks like any other old cent at first glance, but it hides one of the most famous minting errors ever made, the missing D mint mark. This small detail turned an ordinary coin into one of the rarest Lincoln cents ever struck. If you find one, even in worn condition, it could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Let's explore why the 1922 penny is so special. In 1922, the only U.S. mint producing Lincoln cents was the Denver Mint. Philadelphia and San Francisco did not strike any that year. Every single penny should have a small D below the date, but due to worn dies and a few production problems, a small number of coins were struck with a faint or completely missing D. These became known as the famous 1922 no-D pennies, one of the most desirable error coins ever discovered. Here's what happened. During 1922, the Denver Mint was under pressure to produce more coins using old dies. After long use, some dies lost their sharp details, especially around the mint mark area. When one of the dies wore down too much, the D mint mark either disappeared or became so faint that it looked like there was none at all. The mint never made pennies in Philadelphia that year, so any 1922 cent without a D was a striking error, not a normal issue. The design of the 1922 penny is familiar. Abraham Lincoln's profile on the front and two wheat stalks on the back. It's made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, the classic wheat penny composition. Over time, most 1922 pennies have darkened, showing shades of brown and red due to age. Many look heavily worn, but that doesn't hurt the value for this specific year. In fact, the 1922 no-D is valuable even in rough shape. Now let's talk about the varieties. There are a few known types of 1922 pennies. 1. 1922 D-strong reverse, a regular Denver strike, showing a bold D common for the year. 2. 1922 weak D. The mint mark is faint or partially missing, collectible, but not the rarest. 3. 1922 no D, strong reverse, the true rarity. The obverse has no D at all, but the reverse details are sharp. This is the version collectors chase, and it brings the highest prices. The 1922 no D strong reverse variety is considered a major rarity in the entire Lincoln cent series. Values vary based on condition, but even in the lowest grades, these coins sell for high amounts. A heavily circulated 1922 no-D can sell for $400 to $800. In fine condition, prices often reach $1,200 to $2,000. Extra fine examples range from $3,000 to $6,000. Uncirculated examples certified by PCGS or NGC have brought $10,000 to $20,000, and some have even exceeded $30,000 at auction. Regular 1922D pennies are more affordable, usually $15 to $50 in worn condition, and up to $200 to $400 in uncirculated grades. But the missing D version completely changes the story. Many people have mistaken ordinary worn 1922 D coins for the no D error. If your coin's mint mark is just faint, but still visible under magnification, it's not the rare type. But if there's absolutely no sign of the D, even under strong light or magnification, and the reverse details are sharp, you might have the real 1922 no D penny. Collectors admire this coin because it represents a true mint mistake that became legendary. Unlike other errors caused by cracks or off-center strikes, this one came from regular use of worn dies during official production. The U.S. Mint never intended to make it, yet it escaped into circulation, hiding for decades in everyday change. If you have a 1922 penny, check it closely under bright light. Look just below the date. If you see no mint mark at all, and the back design is strong, you may have something valuable. Handle it carefully, by the edges only, and never clean it. Cleaning will reduce its value dramatically. Instead, store it in a clear coin holder and get it examined by a professional grader like PCGS or NGC. Even if your coin is dark, scratched, or old-looking, do not ignore it. Many valuable 1922 no-D pennies have been found in junk boxes and family coin jars, often mistaken for regular wheat cents. The 1922 penny tells the story of a mint under stress, an error that slipped through, and a century-long mystery that still excites collectors today. It's one of those coins where a tiny missing letter changes everything. So before you spend or sell that old 1922 penny, take a closer look. That small copper coin might not just be pocket change. It could be a rare survivor from one of the most fascinating accidents in U.S. coin history, worth more than you ever expected. The 1909 S off-center penny is one of the rarest and most visually striking Lincoln cents ever made. It's not just an old coin, it's a genuine minting error from the first year of the Lincoln series, and that combination makes it incredibly valuable. When collectors hear 1909S and off-center in the same breath, they know they're looking at a true treasure, a mistake that turned into history. Let's go step by step. The 1909 penny was the first Lincoln cent ever struck. It replaced the Indian head cent and introduced the image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse. That alone makes it historically important. Two mints produced it: Philadelphia, with no mint mark, and San Francisco, with a small s under the date. The San Francisco version, especially the 1909 SVDB, is famous for being one of the rarest regular issues in U.S. coinage. Now imagine an error on that already rare coin. An off-center strike happens when a coin blank isn't properly seated between the dies during minting. The dies hit the wrong spot, leaving part of the design missing and part of the blank area visible. The more off-center the strike, the rarer and more valuable it becomes, as long as the date and mint mark are still visible. For the 1909 S penny, that's the key detail. If the 1909 and the S are both clear, collectors pay serious money for it. The 1909 S Lincoln cent had a low mintage of about 1.8 million coins, and the 1909 SVDB had only 484,000 made. Finding either one with an off-center error is extremely rare. These coins were made on older, less precise machinery, so errors were possible but not often saved. Most off-center strikes from that time were melted down or discarded. That's why surviving examples are so prized today. Here's how value changes based on condition and the amount of off-center strike. A 1909 S off-center penny showing a slight 5 to 10% shift can bring $400 to $800 in circulated condition. A 15 to 30% off-center example with a visible date and S can sell between $1,000 and $3,000. Extreme off-center strikes of 40% or more, if the date and mint mark remain visible, can exceed $5,000 to $8,000. If it's a 1909 SVDB off-center penny, the value can skyrocket to $10,000 to $20,000, depending on how well preserved it is. Condition plays a major role. Even in old, dark, or heavily circulated condition, these coins are still valuable because the error itself is so rare. Cleaning or polishing an old penny destroys its surface and can cut its value in half, so it's important to keep it in its natural state. The deep brown or reddish patina on an old copper coin shows its age and authenticity. Design-wise, the obverse features Abraham Lincoln's portrait facing right, while the reverse shows two wheat stalks around the words 1 cent. That classic wheat penny design lasted until 1958. The S mint mark under the date shows that it came from the San Francisco Mint, which produced far fewer coins than Philadelphia, adding to the rarity. Collectors love off-center coins because each one is unique. No two are exactly the same. A perfectly centered strike was the goal, but when something went wrong at the mint, it created these accidental masterpieces. The 1909 S penny, already a key date, becomes a double rarity when it's also off-center. If you ever come across one of these coins, handle it carefully. Use soft gloves or hold it by the edges only. Keep it in a protective holder to prevent further wear. Have it verified by a reputable grading company like PCGS or NGC, because counterfeit 1909 S pennies exist, and professional certification gives you proof of authenticity and helps determine true market value. Even a damaged or worn 1909 S off-center penny is worth more than most people expect. At coin shows and auctions, collectors will pay thousands for genuine examples, especially if the strike is dramatic and the date is readable. The 1909 S off-center penny combines three powerful traits: first-year issue, low mintage, and minting error. Each of those adds major collector value on its own. Together, they make this coin a standout piece of American coin history. So, if you ever find a 1909 penny that looks oddly struck, with part of the design missing or shifted, don't ignore it. Look closely for that small S mint mark under the date. If it's there, and the coin is truly off-center, you're not holding just an old cent. You're holding a rare mistake from the birth year of the Lincoln penny, a copper artifact worth far more than its face value, and possibly a life-changing discovery for any collector who recognizes its true worth. The 1928 Lincoln penny is one of those old wheat cents that many people overlook, yet it holds real historical and collector value. It comes from the late 1920s, a period when America was still recovering from World War I and heading toward the Great Depression. Every 1928 penny you see today has survived nearly a century, which already makes it a small piece of history in your hands. The 1928 penny was struck at two mints, Philadelphia and San Francisco. The Philadelphia version has no mint mark under the date, while the San Francisco version carries a small S. The Denver Mint didn't produce any pennies that year. The total mintage for Philadelphia was around 134 million coins, while San Francisco struck only about 17 million. That makes the 1928 S penny far scarcer and much more valuable than the regular 1928. Like all Lincoln wheat pennies from that time, it's made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. The design, created by Victor David Brenner, features Abraham Lincoln on the front and two wheat stalks on the back, the famous wheat ears design that collectors know well. Now, what makes the 1928 penny interesting is how its value depends heavily on condition. Many examples you'll find are old, dark, and heavily worn. They've passed through thousands of hands, lost most of their shine, and picked up scratches and dents. Still, that doesn't make them worthless. Even in old condition, these coins carry collector value. A 1928 penny from Philadelphia in well-worn shape usually sells for about 25 cents to $1. A cleaner coin with more visible detail can bring $3 to $10. If it's in uncirculated condition, showing a full red tone with no wear, the value can climb to $40 to $100. The 1928 S, however, tells a different story. Because fewer were made, even a circulated example can sell for $3 to $15. If it's in better shape, like very fine or extremely fine, expect $25 to $60. Mint state examples, especially those with a bright red color and no damage, can sell for $150 to $400. Top-graded red examples certified by PCGS or NGC have even reached over $1,000 at auction. Collectors especially love the 1928 S penny because many were poorly struck, with weak details in Lincoln's hair or the wheat lines. A strong strike with sharp features is hard to find and commands higher prices. Another factor that affects value is color. Copper pennies tone over time, and collectors classify them as brown, BN, red-brown, RB, or red, RD. Red coins with original mint color are much rarer. A 1928 S in bright red can easily be worth several times more than a brown one in the same grade. If you have an old 1928 penny that looks dark and worn, don't clean it. Cleaning ruins the coin's natural surface and can cut its value dramatically. Instead, leave it as is. That original patina proves its age and gives it authenticity. The 1928 penny also tells an economic story. Production numbers were starting to drop as the economy slowed near the end of the decade. People were saving more and spending less. That's one reason why later 1920s pennies, especially from the San Francisco Mint, became harder to find in perfect condition. To check your coin, look under the date. If you see no mint mark, it's from Philadelphia. If you see an S, it's from San Francisco. Either way, it's worth keeping. Even low-grade examples are collectible because they're part of the early Lincoln Wheat series, which ran from 1909 to 1958. Let's look at some real-world examples. A 1928 S-graded fine 12 sold for about $18. An extremely fine example brought $45. A Mint State MS-65 red 1928 S sold for over $850 in a heritage auction. Those prices show how condition and mint mark change everything. Every 1928 penny carries a piece of history. It represents the craftsmanship of early U.S. coinage, the artistic legacy of Brenner, and the resilience of coins that survived through hard decades. If you ever find one in an old coin jar or inherited collection, take a close look before spending it. Look for the S, study the details, and handle it gently. It may look like an old, ordinary cent, but depending on its condition and mint mark, that small coin could be worth far more than you think, and it connects you directly to the heart of American history. Next up, we're exploring one of the most underappreciated but fascinating old Lincoln pennies, the 1946 wheat penny. At first glance, it looks like a simple brown cent, but its story hides surprises. Some rare conditions of this penny can reach over $12,000 at auction. Let's dig in and uncover what makes this old coin so valuable. After World War II, America was recovering fast. The U.S. Mint resumed full production of Lincoln wheat cents in 1946, using copper again after the steel experiment of 1943. Most people never noticed that the 1946 penny marked a quiet but historic return to normal coinage. Millions were made, yet not all were equal. A few rare pieces struck with sharp details or minting errors turned into collector treasures. The obverse shows Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909. The word Liberty rests on the left, and the date 1946 appears clearly on the right. Underneath it, you'll sometimes see a small mint mark. The reverse carries the classic wheat design with 1 cent between two wheat stalks, the symbol of American strength and unity during that time. This design lasted until 1958, making all wheat pennies part of a collectible era. There were 3 mints producing 1946 cents: Philadelphia with no mint mark, Denver with a D, and San Francisco with an S. The Philadelphia Mint struck about 991 million coins. Denver made 315 million, and San Francisco only 198 million. The San Francisco mint mark makes the coin slightly harder to find, especially in mint state condition. Now let's talk value. In average circulated condition, a 1946 penny is worth around 3 to 5 cents, mainly for its copper content. But if you have one in uncirculated red condition, the price jumps dramatically. A 1946 D-graded MS-67 red sold for over $7,475, while a 1946 S in MS-67 red crossed $10,000 at auction. The finest examples with full mint luster and perfect details are where serious money hides. Error coins from this year add even more excitement. Off-center strikes, double-die obverses, and clipped planchets are known to exist. A 1946 Lincoln penny with a double die on the date or lettering can bring hundreds or even thousands depending on sharpness. Collectors love these errors because they prove how unpredictable the minting process was back then. Old condition 1946 pennies, even if worn, still attract collectors. The coin's deep brown patina and vintage appeal make it valuable for anyone building a full wheat penny set. If yours looks old but has clear details, keep it safe. Some pennies with strong eye appeal and clean rims can still bring $20 to $50 easily. You should check for signs of rarity. Look for off-center strikes, doubled dates or letters, mint marks filled or misplaced, unusual luster or color variations. Use a magnifier or take it to a local coin dealer for grading. A small difference in condition can mean a big difference in value. Collectors often overlook 1946 pennies because they're common in bulk lots, but that's a mistake. Most have heavy wear. The few surviving in near-perfect mint red condition are extremely rare. Out of millions minted, only a tiny fraction remain untouched, sealed in old rolls or mint sets. These are the coins that reach 4 or 5 figures at auctions. If you find a 1946 penny in your change, check its details carefully. You might be holding a piece of post-war American history. Its simple copper color hides a story of transition from war to peace, from steel to copper, and from scarcity to abundance. Every mark and tone on this penny tells a part of that story. To all coin hunters watching, always check your wheat pennies. The older they look, the better. Clean coins lose value, so never polish them. Keep them as they are. Age, color, and originality make them desirable. An old brown 1946 penny might not look like much, but under the right conditions, it can surprise you. Before you sell, compare auction records and grading examples. Professional grading by PCGS or NGC can boost the coin's value. Many collectors prefer certified coins for investment. Even a small investment in grading can return much more if your penny is high quality. So, the next time you see a 1946 Lincoln wheat penny, don't ignore it. Study it, protect it, and you might find it's worth far more than 1 cent. Old pennies like these are a window into the past, and sometimes a path to hidden profit. If you enjoyed discovering the secrets of this coin, subscribe to Hidden Gold Hunter. More rare coin stories are coming soon. Turn on the bell so you never miss a chance to find the next hidden gem in your pocket change. Next up, we're exploring one of the most beloved and iconic American coins ever made, the 1900 Indian head 1 cent. This old penny isn't just over a century old. It's a true collectible that can be worth much more than you think. Some rare examples in perfect condition have sold for more than $10,000. Many people overlook it, but the 1900 Indian head cent is a treasure from a time when every coin told a story. Let's see why it's so special. The year 1900 marked the beginning of a new century, and America was changing fast. The nation was growing in industry, population, and pride. The penny in your hand was part of everyday life. Designed by James B. Longacre, the Indian head cent had already been in circulation since 1859, but by 1900, it was nearing the end of its historic run before the Lincoln design replaced it in 1909. This makes the 1900 issue a late series coin, often collected as part of the final decade of the Indian head era. The design is one of the most recognizable in U.S. coinage. On the obverse, you see Liberty wearing a Native American-style headdress with United States of America around and the date 1900 below. The reverse shows a simple but elegant wreath encircling the words 1 cent, topped by a small shield. Each line and curve represents fine 19th century craftsmanship, and collectors still admire its balance and beauty. Now let's talk about where it was made. The 1900 Indian head cent was struck only at the Philadelphia Mint, so it carries no mint mark. Over 66 million pieces were produced that year. That may sound like a lot, but few survived in perfect condition. Most circulated heavily in pockets and purses for decades, losing their red luster. Finding one that still shines bright red today is extremely rare. Let's look at the values. In worn, circulated condition, the 1900 Indian head cent is usually worth around $2 to $5. In better grades like extremely fine, it can reach $15 to $30. But the real jump happens with uncirculated coins. A coin graded MS65 red can bring $400 to $700, and in pristine MS67 red condition, it can reach over $10,000 at auction. That's a massive jump for a penny from 1900, proving that condition is everything in coin collecting. Collectors also watch for color designations. Brown BN coins show deep age and patina. Red brown, RB, shows partial original luster. Full red RD coins shine like they just left the mint. Full red examples are extremely rare for coins this old, which is why they command top prices. Now let's talk about why this coin matters beyond value. The Indian head design represents a time when the United States was forming its national identity. It was meant to symbolize freedom and unity, showing liberty in a headdress rather than a specific native figure. That combination of classical art and American symbolism makes it one of the most studied and admired coin designs ever. Some collectors specifically look for old condition pieces with natural toning, scratches, or wear patterns. These coins, even if not shiny, tell a real story. They were used in trade, carried by farmers, shopkeepers, and families across the growing nation. Their surfaces may be worn, but their character adds historical charm. Even old, dark brown examples can sell for $10 to $20 because they hold emotional and historical value. There are also minor die variations in some 1900 cents. For example, some show die cracks or slightly doubled letters. These aren't major mint errors, but still attract interest. If you find unusual details, always check with a magnifier and compare with known varieties on PCGS or NGC sites. A strong die crack or repunched date can increase the coin's value. One important note for collectors: never clean an Indian head penny. Cleaning removes its natural surface and destroys collector appeal. Original toning and luster are what make these coins valuable. Always handle your coin by the edges and store it in a safe holder or coin flip to protect it from damage. Let's explore grading more closely. Graders look at Liberty's cheek and feathers on the obverse and the bow and wreath detail on the reverse. The more detail visible, the higher the grade. In mint state condition, you can see full feather lines and sharp wreath leaves. Those are the coins that sell for top dollar. This coin also connects to the early American economy. In 1900, a single penny had real purchasing power. It could buy a newspaper or a handful of candy. People carried them daily, unaware that someday collectors would pay thousands for the ones that survived in perfect shape. When you hold a 1900 Indian head penny, you're holding a piece of life from the dawn of the 20th century. A coin that passed through the hands of people who built railroads, ran shops, and lived in a world before modern machines. That's what gives it emotional and historical power. If you have one, check its color and condition. Next up, we'll look at one of the most exciting wartime coins, the 1942 D Lincoln Wheat Penny. It's an old penny that hides big surprises. Some rare conditions and errors from this year have sold for more than $15,000. Many collectors ignore it, but if you have one in great condition, you could be sitting on serious money. Let's find out why. The year 1942 was special. The United States was fully involved in World War II. Copper and tin were critical for making weapons, so the mint had to plan for material shortages. This was the last full year before major metal changes took place. The 1942 D penny represents the end of the true copper era before the famous 1943 steel cents appeared. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the 1942 D penny carries the familiar Lincoln portrait on the obverse. You'll see Liberty on the left, the date 1942 on the right, and just below it, a small D mint mark for Denver. The reverse shows the classic wheat ears around 1 cent and United States of America, with the phrase E pluribus unum above. Every detail of this design holds American history and pride. Now let's look at minting facts. The Denver Mint struck about 206 million of these coins. That's a large number, but survival in high mint state is low. Most circulated heavily during and after the war, losing their shine. Finding one in original red condition with no scratches is extremely rare. That's where the value climbs fast. Average circulated 1942 D pennies are worth about 5 to 15 cents, mostly for their copper. But in high mint red condition, they can be worth hundreds or thousands. A 1942 D graded MS 67 red sold for over $12,650 at auction. These are nearly flawless coins with sharp strikes and bright color. Even an MS-65 red can bring around $75 to $150 easily. Now let's talk about errors, which make this year's pennies even more interesting. Collectors hunt for double die obverses, where the date or lettering appears doubled. Off-center strikes, showing part of the design missing. Clipped planchets, where part of the coin edge is cut. Repunched mint marks, where the D was struck twice. Some of these errors have sold for over $1,000, depending on how strong and clear they are. If you see any doubling or strange shapes around the date or mint mark, keep that coin safe. It could be one of those rare pieces. Old condition 1942 D pennies are also collectible. Even dark brown or worn coins have historical charm. Never clean them. Cleaning destroys their value. Collectors love natural aging and patina. If you find one that looks old but still shows good details on Lincoln's face and the wheat stalks, it can easily bring $20 to $40 from a collector. The 1942 D penny also marks the turning point in U.S. coinage. The mint had already begun experimenting with alternative metals like zinc-coated steel, preparing for the change in 1943. That makes this coin one of the last pure copper cents before wartime shortages changed everything. Owning one means holding a true piece of pre-war American history. Let's go deeper into grading. Coins are judged by condition, color, and strike. Brown, BN, means it has darkened with age. Red-brown, RB, shows partial copper shine. Full red, RD, means untouched original color. The full red coins are the most valuable. Out of millions minted, only a few thousand survive with that pure red glow. Those are the ones that can bring life-changing prices. Many collectors start their wheat penny journey with coins like the 1942 D. It's affordable, yet it has high potential if found in top condition. It's also essential in completing a full Lincoln wheat set, covering all mint marks and years from 1909 to 1958. If you find a 1942 D penny in an old jar or collection, check it closely. Look under good light or with a magnifying glass. Examine the mint mark, the date, and the edges. Even a small minting flaw can add big value. Keep your best finds in protective holders to prevent scratches. The highest auction prices always go to coins with perfect surfaces, bright color, and clear details. A few years ago, a collector's uncirculated roll of 1942 D pennies was discovered. Many coins from that roll graded MS-66 to MS-67 red and sold for thousands each. Stories like that keep coin hunters searching every day. Before selling, always compare your coin to certified examples on PCGS or NGC websites. If your penny looks similar in quality, grading it professionally can multiply its price. Serious collectors and investors prefer certified coins for safety and authenticity. The 1942 D wheat penny is more than a piece of metal. It's a link to a time when America was at war, production was changing, and every cent mattered. Each surviving penny carries that legacy. So next time you find an old penny, don't just toss it aside. Study it, protect it, and maybe you'll uncover hidden value in your hands. Subscribe to Hidden Gold Hunter for more coin stories, tips, and hidden treasure finds.